Greetings. Yo, the black light. From the land of Nod to the kingdom of God. We got the kind of flavor that can save you, the kind of knowledge you won't get in college. Time to rise and shine. I thought I'd, identify myself, who I really am. See, by me being born into the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I never could fit in comfortably in this Caucasian world. In the Bible, it would interpret it as Satan's world. Because Satan, one, is against God. He feels like he could operate. But when I say God, I'm talking about the universe, the big God, all in all, the supreme being. Sometimes, using the English vocabulary, words could trip you up if you don't know the actual meaning of that word. God only means the possessor of power and force. It just dawned on me one day to say, well, the better description of that word would be the master, the possessor and master of power and force would make you God. Because that's what we got in us, but we don't know how to control it. We don't know how to control our emotions. We don't know how to control certain energies that we have, certain habits. So most people they are out of control. And the ones you call the Illuminati, they're making it their business to be in control of themselves and everything that they come in contact with. They stole that principle and that science from the original black man. The original black man was here for billions, trillions of years, learning how to be in control, learning how to be the supreme being. So I grew up with that thought in me, but I never could express it. I didn't have words to express, and I didn't have a clear understanding of how to express it and what to say. So I always felt distant from most people because I had a brother, but he was an older brother, but he died. My mother and father was chasing that dollar all the time. So I grew up depending on no one but myself. So as I moved through the different neighborhoods uh, here in Detroit, I had to fight, whatever. I didn't use weapons. I just depended on my hands. As I started mingling with different cats, they back in those days they had switchblades and knives and stuff. So I had to get me one of those because they had it. Then later on, they started using, we started being strapped using gats. And they had to run in groups. I didn't run it. I had gangs. I made gangs myself, but my gangs were like an organization. They were clubs. And we gave dances and parties and stuff, made money. We were more into making money than into fighting. Fighting over girls and stuff, silly stuff, man. But as time went on, drugs entered into the city. Cats went from fighting over girls, from fighting over territory, on who gonna sell what, when, and where. Now that was back in the 60s, around the Vietnam War. That's when all this drug stuff started pouring into the cities. The white man was controlling it. And, I wanted to mingle with the rest of the fellas. Plus I was into music too back then. And that was my biggest thing, wanting to sing and make music, because I could play instruments and sing and dance. And that was one of my biggest things, more than anything. But I always thought on a different level than everybody else. Everybody else did what everybody else did. I did it too, but I wasn't in love with it. So now we here. I'm 72 going on 73. And I'm giving you, my listening audience, the benefit of my experience. I got a clear head, in pretty good shape for my age, and I'm getting better. So what I see is these young brothers and sisters losing control. They're giving up your control to your former slave master's children. The way they made, the way they captured you before, they're using those techniques, but it's advanced. It's more sophisticated. They dividing and conquering, but they dumbing you down. It took you, you couldn't read or write when you came over here, and you couldn't use your own language. You couldn't even play the drums, your African drums, because that was a form of communication. They cut it off, cut your hands off. So it's the same thing today. It's a communication struggle. They don't want the wise brothers and sisters to communicate with the masses. And if you do, you got to follow. If you do want to be a master communicator, you got to follow certain guidelines that they set up. They call this a free speech, but it's really not a free speech. Not for the black man. They use a lot of trickery. It's all predicated on the money system, the spiritual system, and the economic system. And this is what I'm going to be about. Breaking it down to you so you can take control. A lot of brothers and sisters don't really want control. They're afraid of taking control. You know some brothers and sisters that are afraid to drive. To drive an automobile. That means that they're in control and responsible for their passengers' well-being. They don't want that responsibility. Well, you could apply that to any, not just a transportation or automobile, but a lot of people don't want to take control of their household. A lot of people don't want to take control of their neighborhood. They don't want to take control of themselves. That's why you got a whole lot of dope fiends. That's why you got gangs. This is to be continued. Black Light.